Good afternoon. This is TJ Muehlman with Standard Education with a short walkthrough of one of the most commonly requested things we get from our education clients. The thing that our education clients are really wanting to monitor, especially in a post-COVID world, is attendance of their student body. Attendance is a really tricky thing to kind of monitor and do proactively. It's something that we've done really well with our variety of attendance alerts that we can proactively send out that tells you a little bit about how many days your student body's missing, if kids miss more than a few days in a row. And it's this last sort of use case I want to talk about because it's become popular all of a sudden. So this use case is find me all of the kids who have missed 3 or more days in a row. 3 or more days in a row is a symptom of a bigger attendance issue that a student might have. So if we can alert the counselors and teachers in a school when this is happening, then the counselors can be more proactive, can reach out to the parents to see if there's something going on. And so I wanted to walk you through how we accomplish this with our tool set, which is a combination of our data warehouse, Standard Ed, and our data visualization platform, Metabase. So this is very simple, and I'm going to walk you through the actual code here in just a bit. But the student information system dumps data to us on a nightly basis. So we don't actually have an integration with the SIS. Usually it's Infinite Campus or something like that. They actually dump data to us. And the reason we do this is because it actually makes getting up and running much more quickly. If you've ever dealt with a large enterprise and try to get API access, it's a real pain. Whereas these tools often have a way of exporting data on a regular cadence, and that's much easier to get up and running. So they dump data to us via a secure connection. And then we unpack that data. We perform a series of transformations and load it into our data warehouse. And from there, what we do is we have 2 versions of the dashboard to show pretty much any of the data that we're showing. We have a version that's anonymized, which just has student ID. And student ID is not considered personally identifiable information in most of these systems. So in that dashboard, we have the student ID, just that, and some other relevant information, meta information, like how many days in a row they missed, what was the last day they missed, information like that. And that data is then emailed on a weekly basis to the counselors and other personnel at a school. And the reason we do this is because we don't want to put personally identifiable information in an email, because email, for all its wonders, is a really unsecure platform for communicating information. So we just send the student ID, and there's a link in that then drives you back into Metabase, back into the data visualization, and that dashboard has all of the personally identifiable information. And that dashboard is behind a login. You have to have access to view that data. And so this sort of very quick and very simple system allows us to communicate really sensitive information, but do it in a way that's secure, and then drive the person back into our system to go view and actually see which students have missed more than a few days in a row. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this and I'm going to open up the dashboards and walk you through what we do here in just a second. Okay, so here we are in Metabase, and we have a SQL question. Now, let me clarify this. This is going to be part of this YouTube video is going to be for educators and how do we highlight this data. And part of it's going to be for people who are more technical and want to understand how we technically accomplish this. So we're using a SQL question because what we're essentially wanting to do is find me all of the kids who have missed more than 3 days in a row. So we have an attendance detail table in our system that tells us for a student ID, what date they missed, what period it might have been if they're in high school, what was the reason they missed that period, was it excused or were they suspended? And so we have all this data in this table, but in Metabase, for how powerful it is, and for what it's worth, Tableau would have a difficult time doing this, Power BI would have a difficult time doing this, but Metabase allows you to write questions in SQL. So what we did is we wrote this fancy SQL query, which I'm going to be very transparent. I didn't write this. ChatGPT wrote this because our engineering team is backlogged and we needed this really fast. So you know what? ChatGPT did a great job. So I'm not going to walk you through this line by line, but what I'm going to basically say is the SQL is essentially crawling through the table, looking for 3 missed days in a row. And what it also does is it excludes Saturday and Sunday because kids in the U.S. don't go to school on Saturday and Sunday. And it deduplicates data in case the system had duplicates, which is going to be fairly common with this kind of data. So it does a series of things in the SQL, and I'll take the SQL and I'm going to post it in the YouTube comment section so you can see it. And then when I run it, I get something that looks like, I'm in my face, something that looks like this. It's just student ID, start, end date, and how many days in a row they missed. And as I mentioned, by doing it this way, we can then set up a subscription, which I'm going to show you that right now. So I took that question, loaded it into this very simple dashboard, not very pretty. And if you click sharing and subscriptions, you can set up it as an email or a Slack notification. And you can put in whatever email address you want. You can say, I want it to go out hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly, whomever you want. Now, this is the cool thing is you can send this to non-metabase users. The trick is that it is linked back to metabase, so you have to kind of coach people not to like click the link, or else they'll just end up on a page with a log page. But we generally only add people to this that have metabase logins. So set up a subscription, very straightforward here. And what happens then is you get an email in your inbox that shows you all of the kids who have missed more than 3 days in a row. And granted, remember we talked at the very beginning, we don't want to put personally identifiable information in the email. We just want to have a very simple ID system that was linked that we can go view the actual dashboard. So put yourself in the shoes of an educator. You're a counselor at Teague Middle School, and every Monday or every Friday or every day, you get an alert that says, here are the kids who have missed 3 days in a row. And now you can click on this and you can be like, well, what's ID 50,000 mean? Doesn't mean much to me. But when I click that link, it takes me into this dashboard, which does have the student name. And it tells me a little bit more information about the kid. It tells me his name, Colin White, is at Teague Middle School. And here's the start date and the end date. He's missed 3 days in a row. He's in 6th grade. And I can reach out to Colin's mom or dad and say, hey, Colin's missed 3 days in a row. This is a little bit of a problem, whatever the case may be. And this would tie into our other attendance dashboards, which shows chronic absenteeism, shows kids who are nearing chronic absenteeism. So all of this data, it just flows into the system every night. We don't have to rerun this dashboard. We don't have to do anything special. It just works. So, and with these dashboards, some of our school districts that have implemented have been able to drive down chronic absenteeism, have been able to help eliminate reduce the number of kids who are missing multiple days in a row. And it's been a real game changer for these educators who no longer have to spend hours a week digging through spreadsheets to get the data that now just comes to them automatically. So if you're interested in learning more about Standard Ed, and this is just one of the dashboards we have dashboards for grades, for map growth, for SRSS, IE, ASQ, SDQ. We have dashboards for all kinds of things, behavior resolutions. You can reach out to us. Go to our website, standardeduanalytics.com, and click the ask request a demo, and we'll be happy to talk to you.